Welcome to a special edition of On the Hot Seat with my boy Ben Vasta, West Point Army. We're here to talk some Army football, Army Navy a few weeks ago, Army Air Force last week, bowl game coming up. Black Knights 9-2, baby. They beat Navy, beat Air Force, and now they got the Liberty Bowl against West Virginia after the Military Bowl got canceled. What was that, earlier this week?
No, it's the Independence Bowl.
That was one that's usually not Yankee Stadium. Yes, Yankee Stadium?
Not Yankee Stadium.
No.
It was going to be in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that get canceled because...
It's because all the Pac-12 teams opted out this year, and they didn't choose to play in a bowl game because they had, only a few games on the schedule.
All right. And they got West Virginia, 5-4 team. Army 9-2. I was looking at the line. West Virginia still favored -7.5. Just more of a more pro offense. I don't know, But hey, Ben and I, we watched Army Navy a few weeks ago. Their defense is legit.
Yeah. One of the top ranked defenses in the country. Stop the run. The pass could be hit or miss, but we took Cincinnati, 8th ranked Cincinnati, 2-possession game. Army could have came out with the dub. Now they're going to play the Georgia Dogs in the Peach Bowl. So and then the only other loss this year is to Tulane. Who's given Army a run for its money for the past couple of years.
Yeah, I would have liked to see. I would love to see them play BYU because that was the one game that got canceled, and their quarterback's a stud. Gonna get probably drafted this year. That would have been cool to see. But for Army, and it's like it's triple option, ground and pound.
Maybe one passing game.
Right, maybe 1 or 2 passes a game, one completion, one game. But usually it's possession, keep the ball away from the opponents. Usually regardless, they're owning the possession game. Mm-hmm. Even win or lose, they're keeping the ball for at least 40 minutes of the game.
Yeah, definitely their biggest asset. Keep the ball as much as possible. Don't pass the balls, don't throw interceptions. Keep running the ball 4 or 5 yards at a time. Eventually you score.
It's funny because I guess just because this season's a little different with the whole COVID thing, but until we watched Army Navy, I didn't even realize how good Army was, like record wise and things like that. And I remember when you were at the Army Navy game in Philly a few years ago, when Army beat Navy, that team was like really, really highly considered because they were ranked. That was the year that they were ranked
top 25
right.
wins on the season.
Like that's what I'm wondering. Like, is there not as much, I guess, firepower with the offense? Because I know who was the quarterback of a few years ago?
Mod Bradshaw.
Yeah, because he was really highly regarded. Why is this team, I guess, like being more, I don't want to say more slept on, but like I guess just like they're 9-2 still. Like this is a good program.
I think it's strength and schedule. You play like 3 FCS opponents, almost lose to one. So people consider Army still like a lower tier team this year because of their strength of schedule.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it's the only people they can play,
Yeah. You think if they were to beat either Tulane or maybe even Cincy, obviously would have shown
right.
a little more.
I have big win against Cincinnati. I think they'd be in the top 20 this year.
You think so? Wow,
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's another thing. Like Cincy is considered like for some coaches and some polls like a top 10 with their schedule because it's the American like teens, like 20s. But I watched them. Their offense is very good, and like you said, the fact that they kept them close like that for they kept them in check. Like, and that was early on in the season, so like didn't really know what you were getting from really either team. Didn't know Cincinnati was going to really be this good. What's your what's your thoughts about the game, for this bowl game against West Virginia?
Coming up December 31st, New Year's Eve. It's a big game for Army. They come to play. They'll show up against any opponent. Last year they took Michigan to a field goal.
That was a good game.
You know,
I remember that was a good game.
You know, if they hadn't missed that field goal, they would have beat Michigan in the fourth quarter. So they can play against anyone big, you know, and it's just any day, any given day. And I think the game will be a close, low scoring game because Army's defense is pretty real. And I'd like to see Army pull out a win at least by 3 or more points. I think it's going to be a good game, so keep your eyes on the TV.
Well, that's why non-biased for everyone with Nick's best bets or how I am. I like Army plus 7.5. I'm just gonna put it.
Yeah.
I think because of the possession game that Army plays, a full touchdown and with this defense, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care if you're a 5-4 team, in one of the big conferences. This defense is stupid good. So I think 7.5 is I think a full touchdown is a perfect place to get Army on the line. Bet the under, like any Army game. I mean, we every year, and when you talk about Army Navy, these over unders are in like the high 30s, like crazy. I mean, what was 15-0, right? That was the final of the Army Navy game. They shut him out.
Safety, unheard of getting a safety in college football.
That's another thing. I think that for Army to win outright against West Virginia, I think a defensive score might happen.
Yeah.
Fumble or just
interception.
I'm saying it might be easy to say it, but like if they win the turnover margin, I think they could win outright.
Yeah.
If they are hitting hard, force a fumble, run themselves, get a pick or two here, as long as they can get themselves into good field position during a lot of drives, because again, like we saw a few Saturdays ago, like it was a punt fest. Obviously, like right. These guys were starting on their own 20-25 yard line every drive, and it was 3-0 at half.
Yeah.
Right? Like
low
so
scoring game.
Yeah. So like the fact that although like they're taking up a lot of time in these games, these drives are maybe going like 20 like 25 yards that like they're getting to around midfield, and that you're not coming up with points that way.
I just like to point out, in the last 4 years, Army's 3-1 in bowl games. Or sorry, they're 3-0 in a bowl game. They didn't make one last year, and they took Houston. It was a pretty good program in the American Conference, and they blew them out. So
that was even
2017 or 2018.
Right. I say last year they weren't good. They didn't make the bowl game.
Yeah, it's a low point for the Army team. They're never not good. They're always good. They just have their off years.
Yeah, because that was and because it's funny because that was last year with Navy, and their quarterback was like
Malcolm Perry.
Yeah, he was the leading rusher
in
college football, the most rushing yards out of any player in college football, and now he's a receiver.
Yeah,
in the NFL. So, quarterbacking at these military schools, there's not as much throwing.
No,
it's not. You're not going to make it in the pros at quarterback. You can run though. They got good runners.
Run and pitch the ball. That's all you need to know.
What would you say? Final score, or at least what you expect? How many points do you think Army puts up in this game?
Let me first put it. We already got our. They already reached their main goal for the season, win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy,
beating Navy,
and Navy and Air Force. So anything to caveat that would
this is like the cherry on the top. To be honest, to get a bowl
win. Yeah, I think it's big for these guys because they've been there since the beginning of June, and they're still there. They haven't left West Point in all that time due to COVID, and they haven't really gotten a break. So this would be a big win for them, and really accomplish their goals that they probably set out at the beginning of the year.
Before I say anything else, for people that don't know or anything, Benny actually did just graduate from West Point, so that's another thing. Benny's been there for the last 4 years, putting in constant work. He's actually been working up there over the summer with the athletics, and what's in store for you in the upcoming year? I know Alaska is out there.
And then, so I'm going to be headed down to Georgia around beginning of January. I'll be there probably for 12 to 18 months. And then after that, I'll head to Anchorage, Alaska for about 2 to 3 years as my first duty assignment. And I'm pretty pumped, you know. Georgia would be a nice change of pace, a little bit warmer.
Yeah, then up here.
And then I'll go to the bitter cold of Alaska. The last frontier.
The last frontier is right. Trevor, go Army. Air Force stinks. I hope you're watching this episode. Shout out to your cousin. What do we
Yeah, Trevor, you know, you can't hop around teams all the time. Stick with one team. You know, you bandwagon with the NBA. You bandwagon with the NFL. You know, Patrick Mahomes is good, but what about the Jets? You know, what about the Giants? You know, you live in New York.
Pick one.
Yeah, pick one. You know, you're a Yankees fan, but they're just because they're good. You know, they always make the playoffs. So
Hope you're watching. Go Army.
beat Navy.
All right, Benny. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
That's a take. Peace.